for example, in my family, I learned an alternative to punishment and harshness and bribery and all the things people do when somebody misbehaves. Most people are like, well, what else is there? If you don't have punishment and harshness and bribery, I can't see anything else. But there are other ways to deal with all kinds of negative emotion. What's that?
What'd you do?
Well, it's actually a pretty interesting system that we teach called redirecting negative behavior. And by negative behavior, we don't just mean conflict. We mean like people that are seeking undue attention. You know, those people that are very annoying because they're constantly trying to get attention.
Right.
Or a person that almost knee-jerk goes into power struggle.
Right.
Or a person who is in a lot of pain and they don't know how to acknowledge it or release it, and they feel ashamed of it. So they're striking out because they believe that they should be rejected. So they're going to create the dynamics where they will be rejected.
Right.
You know, and if you don't know that's going on, you're going to get all of these misbehaviors are going to get sucked into them if you don't understand what's actually occurring. And then there's another behavior where people are caught up in a belief that they're not capable. And so they have what's called learned inadequacy or assumed inadequacy. And then they get others to reinforce that they aren't capable. It's like a vicious cycle. And the same with the fifth one, which is my favorite one. It's generally in fairly high asset people that they do this. It's called the goal of significance. And that's when a person doesn't feel okay, because we all have moments where we don't. But we act pompous because our unconscious goal is to get invalidation, which sounds crazy.
Right.
But because we have that unconscious goal to be invalidated, we will act all smug and dismissive. And other people are like, who died and made her God, you know?
Right.
And instead of knowing how to read that and redirect it, what it also does is it brings up a lot of pain in people when we teach it, because they start realizing, oh my God, the way I grab onto punishment and rewarding and bribing and all that, that has been a big part of the whole problem. And they feel a lot of pain over the fact that they were contributing that because they never heard of this alternative. So in our family, I wanted to release everything that would diminish those, empowered, lovable, connected, and contributing. And that was one of the big ones. How do we remove punishment and harshness from the family and still create firmness, high expectation, and right behavior? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people need those skills. They've never even heard of them.
Right. So what'd you do? So when someone did something wrong in your house, what did you do?
Well, I'll give you an example of what a redirect would look like.
Uh-huh.
So that last one I called the goal of significance, where somebody acts superior and smug because subconsciously they don't feel okay, and they really subconsciously want to be invalidated. There was this husband and wife, and they had a $35 million company. And the husband had approached me because their HR manager heard us talk and said, oh my God, we need you so bad. And he says, but how about we just don't tell my wife? Because his wife was this woman who was like very in control of the company. And he didn't want her even to know that he wanted to bring in culture change. I'm like, I don't function that way. Like, there's no going around your wife. We got to work with your wife if we're going to make this work. They really were an incredible company in what they did. But during the meeting, it was really evident that she was in the goal of significance because she was very dismissive to her husband. She was dismissive about her leaders, some of them who she treated very poorly. And I'm sitting there going, really, God, I'm in a sales meeting and I've got to redirect somebody, because misbehavior shows up. You don't just pretend it's not there. Right. If you're going to walk the talk, you walk the talk. Right. So I'm seeing her in the goal of significance, and having had to do that a lot myself. Whatever we attract, we are working through our own healing.
Absolutely.
So I said to her, I said, hey, I just want to point out something to you. I said, you have done so much good. So the first step in the redirect for this goal is acknowledge their assets with sincerity. You have gotten all these awards. You've gotten to 35 million. You've helped this many veterans. You've really been amazing. And I just want you to know I see that. And I said, but I also see that you want to go to 100 million. And I see a really big stumbling block in front of you right now that I could help you with if you let me. And I don't think you can see it, and it's really going to get in your way. And this is what she said, and this is what people will do. When you redirect them, they will get worse before they get better. So here I am validating her, and her deepest unconscious wants me to invalidate her. So of course she's going to whip out whatever can make me invalidate her if I wasn't aware. So this is what she says to me. Why do you think you can help me with anything? You don't have a big company like mine. You haven't done all the good stuff I've done.
Right.
I have so much stuff I could teach you. What makes you think you can help me? Like, that's how she got. She went like, on steroids with her
Insecurities.
superiority. And I said, and this is what you do. You mirror it back. You don't invalidate it. I said, you're absolutely right. You've come way further than I have. You've done way more than I have. I don't know if I'll ever get to your level. And there's a ton I could learn from you. And I would love to learn it from you. And this one thing that I'm seeing right here, right now, is in your way. And you don't know how to deal with it, or you would have. I'm sure you would have.
Yep.
So will you let me
Beautiful.
help you? And that's what the redirect looks like. If I had not known that, I would have gotten caught up in her nastiness to me, because it would have triggered my own inferiority feelings.
Yep.
And so this was an interesting outcome, which isn't typical. She said to me after I said that to her, she said, well, you have no idea what it was like growing up in my family. My father criticized me right and left all over the place. And my mother was a paragon of virtue. Nobody usually gives you the backstory. But that is what is behind that goal, is feeling like you got to prove yourself all the time. And I was able to say, well, thank you for sharing that. Wouldn't it be great if that didn't get in the way of your company going to the next level?